I want you to picture a night so silent you can hear your own heartbeat. The air is cool, still, charged with possibility. You are standing at the edge of a dark forest, and behind you is the life you have lived so far, every hesitation, every half-formed dream, every time you let fear or doubt keep you from acting. In front of you, in that forest, is the life you could live if you chose to believe you were meant for something more. It is not a safe trail. It is not marked. But it calls to you. This is the moment that separates ordinary existence from destiny. This is where you act as if you are the chosen one. Not chosen in some mystical sense, but chosen because you chose yourself. When you begin to live this way, everything shifts. Your mind stops waiting for permission. You stop negotiating with fear. You start carrying yourself differently, thinking differently, speaking differently. You begin to demand more from yourself and the world. The promise of what we are about to explore is simple but powerful. If you live as if you are the chosen one, as if the responsibility for creating the future rests entirely on your shoulders, you will find your mind hardening like forged steel, your purpose sharpening like a blade, and your results multiplying in ways that look impossible to anyone still waiting for someone else to pick them. But let's start with a simple truth. Greatness does not strike like lightning. It compounds. It is the quiet discipline of a morning routine that becomes a decade of mastery. It is the decision to save a small amount every month that becomes financial freedom. Jeff Olson called this the slight edge, the idea that small, smart choices, consistently repeated, create massive results over time. This is why acting as if you are the chosen one is not about a single heroic leap. It is about 1,000 small, deliberate steps taken with faith and fire. Imagine Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor, writing to himself in his journal late at night by the light of a flickering oil lamp, reminding himself that he cannot control what others say or do, only how he responds. That same mental discipline is available to you right now. You do not need an empire to rule. You need to rule your own mind. When you wake up tomorrow, you are facing your own empire, your work, your relationships, your health, your wealth. Act like its ruler. And I want to pause here for a moment, because if this message already feels like something you needed to hear tonight, take a second and subscribe so you do not miss the rest of this journey. This is the forge where we are shaping mental strength, wealth mindset, and relentless purpose together. When you begin to see yourself as chosen, the excuses that used to feel comfortable suddenly feel insulting. Henry Ford once said that whether you think you can or think you cannot, you are right. He lived this truth by attempting what most said was impossible, building a car affordable for the average person. He failed, went bankrupt, faced mockery from the press and from other industrialists. But he acted as if he was the one meant to make it work, and he did. The result was not just an invention, but an entire transformation of the world economy. There is a science behind this. Neuroscience shows us that when you repeatedly visualize yourself acting with courage, your brain wires those neural pathways as if the actions already happened. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between vividly imagined rehearsal and lived experience. This means that when you choose to picture yourself walking into the meeting with confidence, making the decisive investment, having the hard conversation, your brain becomes primed to carry out those actions in real life. That is why Claude Bristol wrote that belief is the magic ingredient, because belief recruits your entire nervous system to make your vision real. Now let us talk about fear. Napoleon Bonaparte used to say that courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Picture him before battle, knowing thousands of lives depended on his clarity of thought. He would ride along the lines, steady, focused, transmitting that sense of certainty to his men. The fear did not vanish. It simply became fuel for action. You have the same choice when fear shows up in your life. You can let it dictate your next move, or you can act in spite of it. Repetition is key. Every time you take an action that scares you and survive, the fear loses its grip. This is how you kill fear, not by waiting for it to disappear, but by teaching your nervous system that you are still safe when you step forward. Let us get concrete. Each morning, before you touch your phone, sit in silence for 5 minutes. Picture the version of you who is already living at the level you aspire to: financially free, mentally disciplined, physically strong, spiritually centered. See that version of you going through the day with calm precision. This is not empty daydreaming. You are programming your subconscious to expect this behavior. Then write down 3 actions you can take today to move closer to that vision. Small steps are fine, as long as they are consistent. Over weeks and months, you are not just changing your habits, you are changing your identity. Thomas Edison famously tested thousands of filaments before creating a light bulb that worked. Most would have quit after a handful of failures. But Edison saw each failed attempt as data, not defeat. This is how you must approach your business, your craft, your wealth building. Each setback is feedback. Each failure refines your strategy. You keep showing up, adjusting, learning, acting as if success is inevitable because you are the one destined to make it work. Discipline is the next forge fire. Without it, all the vision and belief in the world collapses under the weight of distraction. Theodore Roosevelt once said that the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. Discipline is what keeps you in that arena long enough to win. You build it like a muscle. Start with simple rules. Wake up at the same time each day, even on weekends. Review your goals weekly. Track your spending. Schedule your deep work sessions and protect them as if they were sacred. Over time, these practices create a sense of inner order that makes you unstoppable. And here is where wealth comes into play. Charles Schwab, one of the titans of steel, was known for his ability to focus on the few things that mattered most each day. He would end each evening by writing down the 6 most important tasks for tomorrow, and then tackle them in order of priority. This simple practice, repeated for years, helped him multiply his fortune. You can use the same principle to multiply your results. Decide each evening what your top priorities are for tomorrow. When you wake up, go straight to the first task. This eliminates decision fatigue and gives you a sense of momentum before most people have even started their day. Financially, start simple. Automate your savings and investments so that a percentage of every dollar you earn goes to building your future before you ever see it. Audit your expenses monthly and redirect money from low-value purchases to high-value assets. Build skills that stack communication, sales, leadership, financial literacy. These compound over time and make you valuable in any economy. Remember, you are not just earning money, you are building leverage. This first stretch of the journey is about grounding yourself in belief, vision, and daily action. We are just getting warmed up. In the next part, we will go deeper into rewiring the subconscious, training decision-making under pressure, building mental toughness, and designing a personal operating system that keeps you focused for decades. The subconscious mind is like the soil of a garden. Whatever you plant there and nourish through repetition will grow. If you feed it fear, you will reap hesitation. If you feed it faith, you will harvest courage and clarity. Joseph Murphy taught that the subconscious accepts any idea you impress upon it with emotion. This is why affirmation without feeling often fails. You must speak to yourself with conviction, with the tone you would use if you were giving orders to an army about to go into battle. Every night before you sleep, repeat a phrase that anchors your purpose. Something like, "I am building an unshakable mind and a wealthy life, and I act decisively toward my vision every day." As you drift into sleep, your brain passes through a state of heightened suggestibility. That is when the subconscious is most open to instruction. Do this nightly, and you will notice your behavior shifting without as much resistance, as if the instructions were running in the background of your mind. Abraham Lincoln faced what seemed like endless defeat before he became president. He lost multiple elections, faced public criticism, and endured personal tragedy. What kept him moving forward was a deep sense that his mission mattered more than his comfort. This is the essence of living, as if you are the chosen one. When you know your mission matters, the sting of short-term losses cannot stop you. They only make you sharper. To rewire your mind for decisive action, practice what psychologists call implementation intentions. Instead of vague goals like, "I will work out more," set triggers. "When I finish my morning coffee, I put on my shoes and go for a 10-minute run." This method uses the brain's natural pattern, seeking ability to create automatic behavior. Over time, this removes the need for willpower You simply execute the script you wrote for yourself. The Stoic emperor we spoke about earlier, Marcus Aurelius, had a technique that works just as well today: premeditation of adversity. Each morning, he would remind himself that he would meet difficult people, face setbacks, and encounter disappointment. By doing this, he trained himself not to be surprised or thrown off when challenges came. You can do the same. Each morning, write down 3 potential obstacles you might face today, and beside each, write how you choose to respond with composure and strength. This mental rehearsal builds resilience. Leonardo da Vinci was not only a painter, but an obsessive experimenter. He dissected cadavers to understand anatomy, designed flying machines centuries before they could be built, and filled notebook after notebook with sketches and ideas. What drove him was an unrelenting curiosity. If you wish to live as if chosen, you must cultivate the same hunger to learn. Read widely. Study finance, psychology, history, philosophy. Every book you read adds a tool to your forge. Every insight becomes a lever you can pull when the moment demands it. And let us be clear, decisiveness is not about rushing. It is about training your mind to evaluate, commit, and act without the endless hesitation that kills opportunity. Ray Dalio writes about radical open-mindedness combined with thoughtful decision-making. The idea is to gather the best information, weigh it honestly, and then move forward without looking back. Each week, review your decisions. Which ones worked? Which ones failed? What patterns are emerging? By doing this, you build a feedback loop that strengthens your judgment over time. We cannot ignore the battle with resistance, that invisible force Stephen Pressfield describes. Resistance shows up as procrastination, distraction, perfectionism, and doubt. It is strongest when the task in front of you matters most. Pressfield's advice is simple but brutal. Sit down and do the work anyway. The more often you defeat resistance, the weaker it becomes. Over months and years, this habit of showing up regardless of mood is what turns amateurs into masters. Let's weave this into a weekly ritual. Choose one day each week as your review day. In the morning, reflect on what you accomplished, where you fell short, what fears you faced, and what opportunities you took. Write down your insights. Then, set 3 targets for the next week that stretch you, but do not overwhelm you. This is your personal strategy session. Treat it seriously. This is how you keep your compass pointed toward your vision. Now, wealth creation is not just about stacking dollars. It is about building assets that work while you sleep. John D. Rockefeller was meticulous in turning every dollar earned into an engine that generated more dollars. He tracked his accounts obsessively, negotiated fiercely, and reinvested profits rather than spending them. You do not need Rockefeller's empire to apply his principle. When extra income comes in, resist the impulse to inflate your lifestyle. Direct that money toward investments that buy back your time: dividend-paying stocks, index funds, income-producing skills, side businesses. The earlier you start, the more powerful the compounding becomes. The neuroscientists who study habit loops will tell you that your brain is always looking for cues that lead to rewards. You can hack this process by pairing habits you want with rewards you enjoy. For example, listen to your favorite music only while exercising, or enjoy your best coffee only after completing your first deep work session of the day. This makes your brain crave the habit instead of resisting it. Over time, these habits stack and transform your identity. Benjamin Franklin famously created a system to track his virtues, rating himself daily on qualities like temperance, industry, and humility. This was not about perfection, but about progress. You can do the same. Choose 5 values that matter most to you, maybe discipline, courage, integrity, focus, and generosity. Create a simple scorecard, and at the end of each day, rate yourself from 1 to 5 on each. Over time, you will see patterns. When your scores rise, your life improves. When they dip, you know where to tighten up. If you have been following along this far, you are already doing more than most people ever will. Take a breath, and remember, if this is resonating with you, hit subscribe so we can keep sharpening together. This is not just about a single video. This is about forging a new way of living. Now, let's talk about stress-proofing your mind. Winston Churchill, in the darkest days of the Second World War, walked through bombed-out streets and spoke calmly with civilians, projecting steadiness. He also painted and built brick walls with his own hands to clear his mind. This was his way of staying grounded. You too need grounding practices, exercise, journaling, breathwork, prayer, meditation. Choose one and do it daily. This prevents your nervous system from staying in a state of fight or flight, which clouds judgment and weakens willpower. Cognitive reframing is another tool you must master. When something difficult happens, train yourself to immediately ask, how is this serving me? What can I learn here? How might this be a gift? This rewires your brain's threat response into a challenge response, releasing dopamine and sharpening focus. Over time, this turns setbacks into fuel, and then there is the power of bold action. Alexander the Great was famous for burning his ships upon landing on foreign shores, leaving his army no option but to advance. Bold action removes the escape routes that keep you half committed. Decide which part of your life needs a symbolic burning of the ships. Maybe it is quitting a job you have outgrown, ending a toxic partnership, deleting the distractions that keep you from doing the work. When you commit fully, you tap into energy and creativity you did not know you had. This is the middle of the journey where many turn back because the work feels heavy. But this is where transformation happens. Keep showing up. Keep sharpening. Keep acting as if you are the chosen one. Because if you do not, the world loses the gift only you can bring. There comes a point when belief must become embodiment. You can read, plan, visualize, and affirm. But eventually, you must become the kind of person who does the work even when no one is watching. This is where character is forged. Socrates taught that the unexamined life is not worth living, but the examined life is only the beginning. You must also live it with integrity. Moral strength means aligning your choices with your highest values, even when compromise would be easier. Consider Julius Caesar standing on the banks of the Rubicon. He knew that crossing that river meant no return, meant war, meant destiny, and yet he stepped forward. This is the decision you face whenever you choose growth over comfort. There will be no fanfare when you make this choice in your own life. It might be as simple as saying no to a distraction, yes to a discipline, no to an old habit, yes to a new path. But it changes everything. Building a lifelong growth framework is like designing a personal operating system. Start with clarity of purpose. Write a one-page statement describing the life you are building and why it matters. Keep it somewhere visible. Then build the routines that support that vision. Morning visualization, evening reflection, weekly reviews, monthly financial check-ins, quarterly resets. These act like system updates that keep you aligned. Theodore Roosevelt battled asthma as a child and was told he might never live a vigorous life. Instead of accepting this, he built a gym in his home and trained his body until he became one of the most robust presidents in history. This is the model. Identify your weakness and turn it into a forge. If you are undisciplined, build routines until discipline becomes your pride. If you are fearful, deliberately place yourself in situations that require courage until fear loses its sting. Mental toughness is not about becoming hard and brittle. It is about becoming flexible like tempered steel. When pressure comes, you bend and then spring back stronger. Nikola Tesla endured ridicule, financial hardship, and betrayal from those who stole his ideas. Yet he kept innovating because he was obsessed with the future he could see. You must hold your vision with the same quiet ferocity. Money, too, becomes a reflection of your inner state. If you see it as scarce, you will act from desperation. If you see it as a tool, you will deploy it strategically. Harv Eker teaches that you must expand your money blueprint, the internal thermostat that governs how much abundance you will allow yourself to receive. Practice gratitude for every dollar that flows in or out. Track your net worth monthly. Study the principles of cash flow, leverage, and asymmetric risk, where the downside is small, but the upside is huge. When you live this way, money starts working for you rather than against you. It is worth saying that wealth without wisdom is fragile. Andrew Carnegie not only built an empire of steel, but spent his later years giving away most of his fortune to libraries and education. He understood that true wealth is measured by the lives you impact. Begin giving now, not when you are wealthy. Give a small percentage of your income, your time, your skill. This keeps you rooted in abundance and prevents greed from corroding your character. Another key is surrounding yourself with others who are also forging themselves. Napoleon Hill wrote about the power of the mastermind, a group of aligned minds focused on a common purpose. Build or join a circle where you share wins, challenges, and strategies. This community acts like a bellows, keeping your fire alive when your own motivation runs low. Psychologically, identity-based change is the most durable. Instead of saying, "I want to write," tell yourself, "I am a writer." Instead of, "I want to be wealthy," tell yourself, "I am a wealth builder." Your brain works to stay consistent with your identity. Each action you take that aligns with this identity strengthens the neural wiring. Each time you fail, treat it not as evidence against your identity but as feedback, helping you refine it. This is also where strategic thinking matters. Genghis Khan conquered vast territories, not through brute force alone, but through superior strategy. Integrating new technologies, building alliances, adapting faster than his rivals. You can apply this in your business or career by thinking long-term. Where is your industry heading in 5 years? Which skills will be most valuable? Position yourself ahead of the curve. Make asymmetric bets where a small investment of time or money could create exponential payoff. And when fear whispers that you are not ready, remember Leonidas of Sparta standing at the hot gates with a small band of warriors, holding back a vast army through discipline and courage. Sometimes your advantage is not numbers or resources, but clarity and will. Decide what your stand island. Decide what line you will not retreat from. This gives you spine when the pressure mounts. As you integrate these practices, you will notice subtle shifts. Your posture straightens, your language sharpens, you make decisions faster, you waste less time, people begin to respond to you differently because they sense your certainty. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. You are living from faith, not fear. At this point, I want to gently remind you one last time. If you have not yet subscribed, do it now, so you do not lose this momentum. This channel is not entertainment, it is training for the mind, and you are ready to go deeper. From here, your task is simple but not easy. Keep showing up. When you are tired, show up. When you are discouraged, show up. When you feel unstoppable, show up even harder. Over time, these repetitions shape you into someone who does not negotiate with his purpose. You become decisive, focused, resilient. You develop personal power and a wealth-oriented mindset that will serve you for life. You are not just chasing success anymore. You are embodying it. You are living as if you are the chosen one because you are. You chose to step into the fire, to be forged, to live with clarity, to act with boldness, to grow without stopping. That choice alone separates you from the majority of people sleepwalking through their days. Now take a deep breath. Picture the person you will be in 5 years if you keep going. Picture the wealth, the relationships, the strength of mind, the freedom. Then open your eyes and take the next small step today, as if all of that is already true. Because in a very real sense, the future is built by the actions you take right now. Walk into the forest, cross the river, burn the ships, step into the arena. Act as if you are the chosen one, because the world is waiting for what only you can forge. Champions, your mind has been forged a little stronger today, but the real test isn't what you learned, it's what you do with it. Take action, dominate your day, and remember, we're not just building better thoughts, we're forging unstoppable lives. The forge doesn't stop, and neither do you. If this episode hit you where it counts, subscribe to Mental Forge Academy and join the Brotherhood of Champions who refuse to settle for ordinary. Go transform, strike while the mind is hot.